Okay, we're going to continue the Maamar of Mizmor L'David Hashem Ro'i. This is Maamar the Rebbe said in Camp Gan Yisrael in the year 1956 on the verse of Tehillim, chapter 23, with the idea of the concept of Menuchah, that there's two types of ways of engaging in avodah. One is the engagement of Melchama, of the battle, and there's one in engagement of Menuchah. And the point is where the higher the source of light comes from, Hashem Ro'i, if God is my shepherd, then lo yachzer, and no one's lacking, because it comes from such a high place that it could go to the lowest places in every situation, like a great fire that gives light all over the place. You don't have to take the candle there. The Queen of Sheba comes to Shlomo Melech, he's a great light. And so therefore, that's the idea of Menuchah Nachla, where real tranquility is in the temple and the Beis Hamikdash. And the idea of this Maamar again is that we're trying to bring an energy through chapter 23 that everything we engage in this world shouldn't have to be through battle, should be through Menuchah. So the Rebbe continues. This is what the verse says in chapter 23 of the Tehillim. That God leads us along calm waters. Menuchas means the word menucha, calm waters. To Indian, again, this means the birur, the engagement and the elevation of our engagement of the world, b'derech menucha, in a way of calmness, shenasa, that's made aidei hamshacha mimakom nail b'yoser. Like we said, because it's coming from such a high place, and is going to be explained more in detail. What is this high place in chapter 6? Is that you could have a birur, you could engage and elevate and refine, separate the spark from its host, from its material host, in a way of menucha, not in a struggle. Not like we say you have to fight with your sword to engage with the Yetzer Hara, with the nefesh Bahamas, the animal soul. So the Rebbe explains how is it that Hashem Ro'i, that menuchas, that God leads us on calm waters, that we can engage the birur through a way of menucha. Therefore, the parak says, chapter 23, Hashem Ro'i, if God's my shepherd, then I will not lack. Shekidei how does a person reach a level that they won't be lacking anything? Meaning that you should have everything you need, mazim, meaning your substance, your parnasa, bitmidis, consistently, little you have second out with any interruptions and disruptions. Because God is the level where God is our shepherd. Meaning, what does it mean that God's our shepherd? It's not just, or it's not enough, so to say. That God is with me. Sometimes you find the expression, God is with me. For this level of to have mazan, to have substance, that way of menucha, with no interruptions, it has to come from the level of God's my shepherd. It's not enough that God is with me. And I'll explain the difference between what does it mean God is with me and God is my shepherd. God leads me. But that is like this. What does it mean that God's my shepherd? Well, it's the kind of leadership and kind of attention, kind of detail that we find in the leadership of Moshe. Meaning, Moshe is known as the faithful shepherd. What does it mean to be a faithful shepherd? He was taking, before God chose him as the leader, so to say, in a revealed way. He was first a shepherd, first followed Yisrael in the desert. And what does the Medrash say? What was the qualification of Moshe as a shepherd that God saw in his behavior as a shepherd, that he says, oh, this is the person I want to lead the Jewish people? Is Shahaya Moitzia Katanim Lirois, the detail. First, he took the young sheep out to pasture. Kadesh Yiro Esav Erach, because the young sheep are too young for the difficult grass, so they would bite the light, soft grass. And after that, he took out the Bachurim, the young, strong sheep. They should be able to eat the hard, more difficult grass. After the young sheep are able to satisfy what they need with the soft grass, the Bachurim, the teenagers, they could have the more complicated grass, the difficult grass. But they're so in the right. That is what they saw Moshe. What's the idea? The Moshe knows exactly what everyone needs. He knows that the small sheep need a special kind of grass, though younger sheep could do with the teenagers could do with more difficult grass. That's the attention of Hashem Ro'i. Moira Inyan his slapshus liak my Ro'i now, when the God enclothes himself, not just to be with us in our situation, but to be like a shepherd who knows everything that's going on and takes care of our needs, not just our needs in general, but to the particular. If we need soft grass, we need a hug, we need love, so that He's there for us. That God, so to say, contracts Himself. To the needs and the abilities to everyone. So Hashem knows what we need and our abilities, like the young sheep need to eat, but also what their abilities are. They can only eat soft grass. The larger person has larger needs and has larger abilities. And the smaller person, it doesn't have to be at the age, it can also be where you're holding a life. But when we say God's with me, that's God's my shepherd, but God's with me. God's with me. He could be going through your difficulties. You're going through a difficult moment. He's with you, along with you in the moments, but it doesn't mean that He's guiding you through the moment. He's leading you to exactly the situation that you need. Rebbe says it could be lacking His slapshus, the clothing, in the physical details of what I need. Since the idea of God enclothing Himself, and in an internal way, until Maamar she becomes one with our situation and with us. That it's coming from a very hard place. So like we said before, that from God's place, where the highest place is, there's no limitations. And you can ask, how could God who's so infinite, be so detailed into finite? Because He's a kol yachol, He can do whatever He wants. And He wants to clothe Himself into the details and the specifics of our needs. And moving that's understood, when our finances and our parnasa comes from a place of God being our shepherd, not that He's with us, but He leads us. Well, even the Vayroi, He's our shepherd, and He knows exactly what we need in our situation to the detail. That we're a cotton and we need soft grass and our abilities, how much He expects from us. There's a nimshach so then our parnasos come from the highest place. The chen hoy is about open to the and there's never lacking, because He knows every step where we are. His heart beats with our heart. His mind runs with our mind. He knows exactly as we need it what we're going to need. So the shaykh was perhaps not even possible. There should be lacking and there should be a hold up. Mamshech because when the pasuk continues in chapter 23, every saying that God leads us on nice pastures. The idea is our teachers. Nice desher. What does it mean? Nice pastures. Elon, Inun, Mikoran Elon come from a very high place. Ekre, Nois, Yaakov. These are called the pastures of Jacob. Varv is a Kabbalah and Kabbalistic teachings that teaches us. Shinois Yaakov. What is it talking about? The pastures of Yaakov. These are the Sphira. This is the attribute of Tiferes, of beauty. Shemispar Bachol Shishish Aksavis. What's the character of the attribute of beauty of Tiferes? That it finds beauty in every direction. It means there's no side of all 6 sides of north, east, west, south, top, and bottom. It has a compatibility. His spheres at Tiferes, the attribute of Tiferes, it's the middle. Chassidic is on the right, Gvur is on the left, Tiferes is in the middle, goes all the way up straight to the Tainuk, to God's pleasure, to the crown. Musayim is Zorisham, the Rebbe doesn't explain what this means. The Zohar says the East Nois Lavar, the Ekru Nois Midbar. There's such a thing as the pastures of the desert. And the pastures of the desert are also like the nice pastures. So what's the difference between that? Has to be Nois Desha, specifically the fields, the pastures of the fields, and not the pastures of the desert. You could turn a desert into a field also and make it green, right? Israel makes the desert's green. The Churani movement, that was assuming it's not understood. Even though that it's a wild desert, but when you aggregate it properly, you could turn the desert also into a place of pastures. But even though it was wild, but a person works. What's the pasuk that you can make that even the desert becomes a noise midbar, the pastures of the desert and the hilltops that are appropriate for animals. The sheep could be there. The Jewish people, you could transform it. That the desert itself becomes a place inhabitable even for the Jewish people. So why does it have to be special? The pastures of the fields. But it's not the pastures of the desert. It has to be the pastures of the field. The idea is the kivan shemeduber kan ba'ofen abir b'derech shalom menucha davka. Here, this chapter 23 is a separate chapter. It's very different, like we said last class, than any other idea. It's not about the fight. It's all about menucha. Yes, you could turn the desert into pastures, but that takes effort. You have to transform it. You have to engage it. You have to fight with the desert. Change its character from being a desert to being a place of pasture. But that's the Muhammad. That's not menucha. Because chapter 23 is talking about avoid of a menucha, everything is in a calm way, tranquility. So again, the key of in this chapter we're talking about. From David Melech is talking on behalf of Klal Yisrael. That the bir, our engagement is in a way of peace. We're not fighting. As it was with Shlomo. He sat in his place. Or God will be because of the great light, or avuka of a torch, not of a candle. The sparks came to him. Queen of Sheba came to him. Therefore, the pasuk, the Zohar says, we're not talking about the pastures of the desert that you have to turn the desert into place of growth, because that comes through battle. That's not natural. Not even the kind of pastures that's going to be a place that could even have the carbon sign. You've mamish transformed it into a place of pasture. Why? Because the point is that we're not looking to do battle. We're looking to use it where you are and able to live the life in a way of menucha, where there's no battle of the transformation. We're saying that God takes us on green pastures, that there's meant to be pastures, they didn't have to transform anything. And this is what the Medrash says. That these pastures are b'malfum. Tuv is with the shuruk shel olam. As what does that mean? It's so good. It's not a good of the world. The olam is considered helam, which is concealment. You have to find the good within the concealment. It's obvious. It's clear good. Like the nice dash or the clear pastures, you don't have to say, okay, we turn the desert into a place of growth. Therefore, there was no hold of the opposite side on it. You had to fight with it and transform it. So now the Rebbe can go back to what does it mean on menucha is Messiah, and the pasuk continues. The God leads us along calm waters. These are teaches. Elon Mayin, the Naicha, these we're talking about waters of calmness. Naicha from the word calm. The Ka Nagdin Mahu Asar, the Nagid Vinafik Maiden, it's coming from this place of Eden. Like it says in Eden, the river comes from Eden, Hashis to the garden to irrigate the garden. And these waters, the waters that come from Eden, are called calm waters. So he leads us along the waters, so to say, of Garden of Eden. Ramak teaches, Moshe Korbion says, some people may think, what does calm waters mean? Something that's like a very small stream that has nothing much going on. So of course it's calm, it's quiet. It's not a river. River has in it a lot of water, but because of that, maybe it's rushing. But here you have a tiny little stream, so it's not threatening. It's moving slow. It says no. The Ramak says we're not talking about a little stream. It's coming from a big place. It's coming from Eden. From God's wisdom. There's a lot of water there. It's not short of supply. Why is it called calm? They're calming waters. It's not that they're calm because there's a small little stream, so it's calm waters. They are a force of water, very deep, very powerful, and their power is to give calmness. They ooze calmness. Neichel and Nishmasa, they give calmness to the soul, and Neichel and Gufa, calmness to the body. The body is happy and relaxed, the soul is happy and relaxed. Meaning, no matter where these waters are found, no matter where they have to be effective, they ooze Neichel, they give calmness. What does calmness mean? That everything's in its order. You're not fighting against a different character. Everything is in its place. Everything is tafkid. Everything is in its proper job. Hashem wanted the perfection in creation. Everything's running smoothly. So it's a deep river. It's a river. It's a powerful river. But it's a powerful river of calmness. Right? It's like you see sometimes a big body of water. It looks like it's nothing. It's very deep. It's calm. This is that way that you engage and you affect the world and you affect your space and you affect yourself in a way of calmness, not through battle. This is the beauty of this Maamar. This is the beauty of what the Rebbe is explaining what chapter 23 is. Not every time does it have to be a fight. Not everything. On the contrary, the whole point of this chapter is, which they thought, there was a thinking to say this is Hal HaGadol. And we can say it Kois Revi, like we said yesterday. The fourth cup of the Seder should be said on this on Kapitel 23. Chapter 23 of Tamuz, because it represents a revolutionary idea in Avodas Hashem of Menuchah. Rebbe says, how do you know? How do you get there? How do you tap into these calming waters? This is an incredible thing. It's a difference if you're changing the world through Torah. Torah is calmness, or through tefillah, prayer. Prayer is the battle. Not through prayer. You know the prayer is a battle. You're fighting with yourself. The time of prayer, Shas Kreva is a time of Kreva means of fighting. Kreva is the battle, engagement. But with Torah Gufa and in Torah also, what level of Torah is calming, not engagement, the way Menuchah? The Iker is primarily in Primus of Torah and Chassidus. The inner secrets of Torah. Torah is a Chassidus. When you learn Chassidus, you bring upon yourself the menuchas, the calm waters, and therefore, like the Rebbe says, no matter where the situation is, it comes calmness in your life. Ilone Dechaya, it's the tree of life, the less Taman like Kushi. There's no question. It's not the battle of the pilpul. Called in Yanim Shem, and even the places of Torah, which it's all holy, but the concept that there's an argument has a root in somewhere that's not positive. It's called the tree of life. It's not the tree, like the Alter Rebbe talks in Tanya, but the tree of good and bad. Actually, good and bad, if it's Torah, even if it's bad, it's only talking about the halachas. It's the halachas about what is considered asr, but it's not itself asr. But it's still called the tree of good and bad. I feel like you don't even have to engage in it. This is the calm waters, the waters of Chassidus. The Konagdima who asar, they come from the place, the nugget of Nafik Ma'eden, that comes from the deepest level of Chachma, which is called Eden. We know that the Nar comes from Eden. And one of the things of Eden was Eden, Gan Eden, as soon as Adam and Chava sinned, they were thrown out. Why? It's not a place that could deal with sin. There's no negative there. Kaya Pashas Gan Eden is going on the Garden of Eden. You couldn't be coarse and into Gashmias and into sin. In the Garden of Eden. Of course, there's no place for sin over there. Therefore, only before the sin, Adam and Chava were there. As soon as they sinned, they had to leave. And therefore, how does a person tap into the energy of menuchas, of calm waters, through the teachings of Chassidus? That finished up beautifully the Maamar. In this Mizmor chapter 23 was said by King David. The King Mashiach is feel called Echad Vechad Misrael on behalf of every Jewish person. Negelin in our Parnasa, he's blessing us that our Parnasa should be in a way, our Pasha, our Gashmistic livelihood should be in a way of Menuchah. We shouldn't have to struggle and have no anxiety. Therefore, the Ariya Kaddish says, and this is a good resolution to take from learning this Maamar. When a person is Parnasa, say chapter 23. What are we asking from Hashem? That we should have parnasa, but not just that we should have parnasa. We shouldn't have to fight for our parnasa. Because when you're fighting, then there's confusion and there's stress and there's consequences. Even if the consequences are only temporary. And therefore, because you're overwhelmed and you're stressed, you don't feel that you don't have the simcha to serve Hashem. So we're asking Hashem, we don't want these overwhelming moments. We want to be able to get parnasa easily. So we can go to shul and daven. We could learn Chassidus the way we're supposed to. We wanted the way it should be that God's our shepherd, that He's engaging us and knows exactly what we need, and therefore we're not lacking anything. That God is in our situation, the way we are below, and knows what we need and gives it us in a way that we need it, in a way of calmness, that we serve Hashem without any difficulties. Ad lamate mate, all the way down to our mamish, to all our needs. And then we are walking on green pastures, really nice midbar, not desert pastures that we had to work on it to make it into something. So that everything should be in a peaceful way and in a calm way. So we're not just talking about spiritual concept, talking about parshad, your parnasa, your finances, finding a job, getting your paycheck, earning a living should be in a way that the Rebbe is blessing everyone. There should be in a way of parnasa, of gashmis, in the way of menucha. And because our parnasa and our physical is tied in, everything is tied into our situation. If they love the parnasa v'gashmis, how do you make sure? How do you assure that you should have parnasa gashmis? Is if you make sure to deal with your parnasa, your spiritual livelihood. How are you doing in your livelihood? How are you doing in engaging others in their spirituality? Therefore, we ask Hashem also for our spiritual. Even our spiritual substance. We shouldn't have to fight with ourselves. Do mitzvahs. We shouldn't have to fight with us to get up for sure. We shouldn't have to fight with us to deal with our temptations and our times. It should be in a way of peace and shalom. When we learn the inner secrets of Torah, it washes our body and it soaks our body into the waters of calmness, both spiritually, both spiritually, physically and materially. Torah is a Chassidus. The tree of light, less time on like worship, there's no questions, etc. There's no negative side. And the Rebbe says, therefore, through this, and it spills over to all parts of our life. Not just when we learn Chassidus, but then our davening, which is usually a time of battle, is no longer a battle. Our times of learning other things are no longer a battle. Us and therefore we're able to affect that we walk around and we spread and we're in the space of calm waters. In the way of David Malka, the whole echad kol tzirchai, the David Malka bench, that everyone should have everything they need. Hein beruchnis in the spiritual, hein begashmis in the physical material. Because it's coming from the highest place, the way God is our shepherd. Therefore nothing will be lacking. We're on green pastures, not the pastures of the desert. Yarbitzeni menucha v'shalom, in a way of peace in our life. This will prepare us. How it's going to be when Mashiach comes. We shouldn't have to go into Mashiach in a rush. We should already come into Mashiach in a way of calmness. You may say Mashiach, the days of Mashiach, which because of it says, and then the languages of all the nations, everyone's going to speak a clear language. Everyone's going to call Hashem, Hashem, in the name of God, everyone to hold, to serve God with one shoulder, shouldering together the same mission. If everyone's going to see that God's name is one, God is one, His name is one. Wonderful, wonderful Maamar. It's worth to learn it over and over and over again. The Nakud is maybe she should bless all of us in a way of menucha, in a way of shalom, in a way of lack of no machama, not begashius, not beruchnius, and like the Rebbe says, that the Rizal says, the say capital 23, capital Chav Gimel Mizmor Hashem Ro'i. So we say it over Shabbos over and over again because of the brachas of Hashem Ro'i, which that could be not just manifest as an idea, but should be. We should see it goli in our lives, in our details of our lives, immediately with the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu. Shabbos, everyone, thank you for joining.